tuned in to StarCHaser Central, a podcast about Charles Hampton, music moments, and everything in between. I'm Sick Braxton.
And I am Mike D. Jackson. Also, I am not going to be hitting the mute button to avoid my shit crashing out like last episode. Y'all didn't see that. Y'all don't know about it, but now you do. So no mute button for me today.
Okay. Um, how are you doing otherwise? How are you doing, man?
I'm okay. My morning started off good, really good. Then it kind of like and I kind of told you about that, some work related stuff, whatever, but um I'm taking a page out of your book where you do a certain amount of work and then it's like, you know what? Now y'all gotta repay me on the back end. So I'm gonna do this now, so I don't gotta do it later. Um, Stick to that so happily y'all wouldn't have to go through that. So that's how I'm feeling right now. But I'm cool, man. I'm pretty cool. I'm cool. Everything's good on your end.
Yeah, other than I think my allergies are kicking in. Uh, my nose has been stuffed up, and I'm at the point where it hasn't traveled over to the other nose yet. So I'm just trying to wait this one out to see what's going to happen. But I'm still taking my medicines, and hopefully it clears up. But yeah, allergies have been crazy this year.
I'm definitely sorry to hear that. I was talking to a coworker, I don't know if it's yesterday, maybe the other day, about the allergy thing, and I'm like, it's a shame, man, because I think when I was younger, I might have had like issues and bouts with allergies, but nothing like severe like other people, where it's like every year you're just like struggling and fighting for your life and the pollen and all that type of stuff. It's definitely I there's a couple of things I wouldn't wish on people, and like things like that where it's like, well, you could still live with that, but I'm like, how very inconvenient it is. I'm like, yeah, I probably wouldn't wish that on someone because I'm like, it sucks. So that's how I look at it.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. But it's not gonna stop me, man. Let's just call it the flu game. We'll call this the allergy game. But we were reviewing another Charles Hampton tape, man. A newer-ish one, man. I think we're within the last 7 years here, 2018. I think we're looking at. We are reviewing Showtime with Apollo.
Yes, sir. Showtime with Apollo. Let me make sure we get this correct and clear because I'll be honest, I was reading it wrong the first couple of days before we actually reviewed it, but this tape is called Showtime with Apollo. Yeah, so like you said, this tape came out sometime in 2018. This is when we get into the uncharted territory where, it's projects that we more likely haven't heard much of or too much about. When you look it up on YouTube, these are like the certain projects where it'll have the name of the project, it'll have the year of it. Not sure when it came out exactly, but I think on YouTube it says something like December, November, late 2018, but that doesn't mean that's when it was recorded. Um, like I was saying earlier, with this tape called Showtime with Apollo. For me, I'm like, okay, this might be, something similar like Showtime at the Apollo or something like that, maybe Charles's version. And then try to do as much research as I could. Not as successful as usual because there's no reviews on it. There's not many people talking about it. Not many Star Chasers that really have said too much about it that you can really just find in an open area. Not many notes that Charles has had, but I did find out some things. So from what I did find out, Showtime with the Apollo. Oh, sorry, see, I'm messing up now.
See?
Showtime with Apollo. At least I can admit that, Showtime with Apollo. Um, not all these songs, but most of these beats are done by a producer named Apollo Brown. So that's kind of like the Showtime with Apollo, where that comes from. Apollo Brown is a producer from Detroit. He's a member of the group Ugly Heroes, which also features Red Pill and Verbal Kent. That name sounds familiar. Verbal
Yeah.
Kent. So, fun fact, Apollo prefers using dated technology when making music, a desktop PC that runs Windows XP and Cool Edit 2000. So I thought that was pretty interesting. So we've done a couple tapes like this, maybe not like a mastery type of tape, but this is Charles wanting to showcase another producer that might not be as well known, and he'll take someone's beats, showcase their beats, and then raps over them. So a newer version of one of those type of tapes, or just Charles trying to do something new and trying to do something different with his sound? Because we know Charles loves rapping on his own production, but when he's feeling froggy enough, he will rap on someone else's.
Yeah, that's I'm glad we kind of got that information out the way. I know I heard Apollo Brown a few times on the tape, so it's good to know that, it's kind of who's handling the beat and production side of it. Well, the beat side of it. We can talk about the production in a minute. Um, and Verbal Kint, it does sound familiar. I once I looked him up, like he sounds familiar, and I kind of have like a baseline knowledge of just like I may have heard like one or two songs from him. Um, but yeah, this is like I said, a newer tape, uncharted territory for us. We don't really have the most knowledge or the most cachet when it comes to that tape. Where it's far and in between, I guess is what we say. So we really don't have to ask the question, but it's customary. This is your first time listening to this tape, I would presume.
That is correct. You already know, but I'll let the Star Chasers in on the picking process. I basically, when we decided to do this tape, I'm like, all right, well, let me go into uncharted territory. Let's go to like a year we haven't really covered, or like a newer-ish year. And I'm like, 2018. Yep, 'cause I could definitely say don't remember too much from 2018 or know anything from 2018, and kind of just like Russian roulette. I was like, okay, Showtime with Apollo. All right, let's do it. And like you said, for yourself, first time as well.
Yep, absolutely. Never even like heard as soon as you named the tape, I was like, I haven't heard of it. Had to look it up. So we go through a lot of these tapes. I think it's a little bit more fascinating when it's a tape that we haven't like had any type of knowledge on. No, nothing sounds familiar when we listen to it. It's something that's just absolutely brand new. So like, other than maybe possible preconceived notions about a year that we've had, this is like going in absolutely fresh. We're really literally opening up the package. We're checking out the context for the first time ever. So that's the kind of review we're doing today. So it's gonna be very interesting how we see this one.
That's correct. Also, an unboxing, if you will. Funny because I got some packages from Amazon earlier that I didn't unbox myself yet, but I already know it's just like regular stuff like boxers because I went to Walmart recently and I'm like, man, y'all got like the same damn boxers from probably 2018, where I'm like, I don't want to look like that guy where it's like, yo, I got like 7 packs of the plaid underwear where I know they're clean, but someone else might seem like, bro, you've had those on for like 7 days. Like, no, they're different. You should have got me the variety pack,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
doing an unboxing, if you will. Uh, Good note, because we were talking about the name of this project. Charles did tell me this. One thing he did let me know, the titles of all these songs that we will get to later are Showtime at the Apollo related. So there
Okay.
is some of that, what I mean, but the tape isn't necessarily Showtime at the Apollo. It's Showtime with Apollo because of Apollo Brown, but it has a little bit of Showtime at the Apollo in there. So
So this one's interesting because, normally per the way we review things, we usually typically go to YouTube, right? And we did have a YouTube playlist, but I think you discovered that there was something kind of wonky about the number of tracks and like different things. So kind of explain what you saw with that and how we reviewed it today.
cool. All right. So I know I let you know early in the week. I'm like, hey, there's only like on YouTube like 8 songs. So I'm like, oh, this is gonna be like an easy review, 8 songs. We could go through all of them and all that. So then I was like, you know what? First listening to this, I'm like, okay, I want to make sure I'm doing this right, because we've had a few episodes where someone will say, hey, it's always good to go back to the archive because the archive might have extra songs, or there might be something on YouTube that's not there, or wherever the case is, maybe better quality. I forget I think it was Mr. Black Cat or something like that. We had that issue where like some of the songs, the quality wasn't as good, but on the app, it was better. So I'm like, you know what, let me go on there. And then I seen that there's some extra songs missing. So I'm like, oh wait, this is gonna be our first time actually using the archive for real, like primarily compared to YouTube. Y'all know we normally use YouTube and drop a link and all that, but we would definitely recommend using the archive for this episode. There are some songs that will be on YouTube as well, but not all of them for whatever reason. Probably copyright issues, you know how YouTube is. But also for those of you that don't know, I can't remember exactly what year it was when Charles started this, but how Charles normally does his projects now, songs are in alphabetical order. So it goes from A to Z, and that's how the track listing's supposed to go. So instead of it being 8 songs, it's actually 11 songs we're doing today. And we'll definitely be able to get through all 11. We can explain that later,
Yeah.
but we can definitely explain going through all 11 songs. Did you want to talk about the quote unquote cover for this project first before we
Of
get into
of
that?
of course, that's a customary thing over here on SCC, man. It's certainly a picture. I'm not sure if we want to qualify as a cover. What I see is Charles on a swing.
He's swinging all right, Well, maybe in post swing, because in the picture or cover, I guess you want to say, reminds me, we talked about this on Climactic, because Climactic was very similar, where it's just a picture of Charles, random picture. But this picture, even though it's really not really a cover, I could consider this more of a cover, because when I first thought this was Showtime at the Apollo related, you
Mhm.
see Charles on the swing with his little keyboard, and he looks kind of distraught. So in my head, I'm like, oh, this looks like, okay, Charles went to go try out for Showtime at the Apollo, and it did not go well. And he
Right.
got like, booed out or whatever the case is. And he's just kind of sitting there like, man, either he's thinking maybe I need to try something else. I need to figure out, another route. Maybe I should just give up on the music thing. But
Mhm.
he looks very distraught on the swing with his keyboard, like he didn't give a great show or whatnot. Um, but is there any other thoughts you had about it? Because that's what I first thought. I was like, okay, Showtime at the Apollo related, something like that. That's why I was thinking that.
Yeah, I mean that's a good call. But this is a bit of honesty, right? I feel like the covers of Charles's tapes have been on a decline over the course of time, right? It's like rather than close-knit pictures or photographs of that are close to the title or have like a relevance to the title, we've moved slowly away from that time period, and now it's just whatever at the time is just being on there, or even more common these days is AI created covers, right? Um, Not to say that's necessarily a bad thing. I just think it lacks the creativity that we were used to from the beginning days. So I saw this and was like, okay, it's just a picture. That's fine. Like if that, especially if we go by your take on it, that makes a lot of sense. Um, but if we just go by face value, it's like fine. It's a picture of Charles.
I understand the sentiment, and I do agree with you, because we're not as familiar with the later, or not later, but closer music to 2025, the
Mm,
closer to current music. And it does come off that way, where it's just like, yeah, I'm gonna just take a picture from something and just throw it up there, and yep, that's the cover. It does come off as lazy, lackluster, and all that. But Charles never said that he was a cover artist. He is a musician,
yeah,
and this is one of the great things about that, because now that we have a group of StarChasers fans, artists here, we can kind of change that.
yeah,
Where, hey, some of these projects that really don't have covers are really good covers. We have people in the Discord, in the groups, where, hey, if you see something that doesn't seem like it has like a good cover or a cover at all, you guys can actually cover it yourselves. And hey,
mhm,
when you hear something like Showtime with Apollo, and then you might know Apollo Brown, you could create your own cover and
yeah,
then share it around with everyone. And then, it'll help projects become more memorable, because at the end of the day, it's not just about the music. That's the main part, but you
yeah,
still need the fixings and everything else. Um, of course, the music is what we hear, but sometimes you got to see something before you actually hear it, and that can make or break something.
for sure. Like you said, there are 11 total tracks. And we're gonna go through all of these. Yes.
That is correct.
Okay. The only question I do have is Also, just in case somebody does not know about the app, I find it hard to believe they've been here a while. Uh, there's something called charleshampton.app, and if you go there, that's basically the Charles Hampton archive for like damn near everything Charles. Charles tapes, Charles instrumentals, Charles. There's a lot of different things over there. Shout out to I forgot who created that. Do we know? I forget.
Well, that's hard for me to answer because, like I told you back in my day, we had one person that had a paste bin of
Yeah.
everything. So, but no, I do not know. I figured you would know that.
Hey, no. The only thing I do is protect the forest from forest fires, thanks to Smokey. Um, but shout out to whoever created that app or whatever. But that's where we got that's where we went to listen and kind of got the files for this tape. I download the files and it downloads in a very specific manner. And it's crazy because you're right, it does it in alphabetical order except for two tracks that inexplicably have been numbered. So yeah. So like two tracks are numbered one and two, but the others are in alphabetical order. But the ones that are number one and two, they didn't place in alphabetical order. So if I mess one up, just stop me and then just revert me back to the correct thing.
So what I'll do right here is this. I'll just go through the track listing real quick,
Yep.
just so you guys know this is how we're, I guess, doing it, quote unquote. So it starts off with Apollo Kids, Down Selecta, Front Row Church Lady, Gum of the Sun, Kiki's Love, Corn at the Apollo, Sandman in the Milky Way, The Gothic Sinbad, Tony Rock at Breakfast, V Star Rising, Wax On, Wax Off.
Perfect. Uh,
So we that's the track listing, but if you end up going in a different pattern, we have the notes, so we know.
sorry. With that being said, we start off with Apollo Kids Part One.
All right. So and it's crazy because like I told you, I listened to this on YouTube first, and then I, went to the app. And I want to say Apollo Kids was near the end when I first listened on YouTube. But then
Yep.
hearing it now, I'm like, okay, I think this makes a little bit more sense. What the song is short and sweet, only one verse and one hook, followed by a long instrumental. And I said it's a good way to start off the tape if this is the first song. Um, I guess a little bit of a spoiler alert. With the sound quality of this song does put a little bit of a damper on it, but we're used to Charles doing the tried and true for him, three verses, 16 bars, whatever. But for this, I'm like, if this the intro, it's fine for it to be just one verse, one hook or whatever case it is, and then you want to play out the instrumental because of course it's Apollo's music, and then there's some other people that have done beats on here too. But it's like if you want to showcase off someone else's work, hey, nothing wrong with that. But I would say this is out of all these songs, I would say yeah, probably the best one to start the project off with. So I'm like, okay, I'm okay with this intro.
I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum. The sound quality is the one that this one I just don't think starting off a tape with that type of sound quality, unless everything is going to sound like that for the entire tape, makes sense to me. We've seen tapes where the sound quality from one song to the end song is the exact same. And that makes sense because like there's not you're not gonna have a variation with like the way your ear levels are gonna work. It's gonna be like that the entire time. So when it starts off like this, I'm thinking, okay, this is probably gonna be the rest of the tape. So my guard is already up. I just wish I could hear the music better. Like I think we didn't say it before we started this review, but headphones seem like the best move here. So I did
Oh no
kind
no
of,
no no oh no oh no oh no brother, ain't no seems like it is. I'm gonna say it's the only option. I try to listen to this in my car. No,
yeah,
not even close. I'm not even going to recommend it to someone saying, "Oh, well, I'll just listen to it on the phone," or
yeah,
no. Headphone is either headphones or nothing. I'll be honest. Not even trying to be rude or disrespectful.
yeah,
If you don't have earbuds, headphones, don't even listen to the tape. You need them. You need them. You need not even trying to over exaggerate or whatever. Exaggerate because over exaggerate. You need them.
Yeah, I mean, I try to do both just to get an idea of what it sounds like without and with. So without, yeah, you can't hear anything. So I thought at least with the headphones, it would make that much of a difference, but it wasn't enough for me. It just felt like it felt muddled. It felt like it was buried underneath something and it was still playing. And while the entire song was going on, I was digging to try to be able to hear it. That's how, it felt. So not the best start for me personally, but I do get your point as far as it makes the most sense as an introduction. I can say that it's because like none of the other ones feel intro worthy. I think on the YouTube playlist, the one that starts it, that wouldn't have been great either. But yeah, because it suffers from the same problem. But yeah, I do see your point with that though.
Yeah, definitely. Two things real quick. So I know earlier in the week, I remember like I felt like I think my right ear was like clogged,
Yeah,
and that's the worst time to have earbuds and try to listen to music, whatever. So part of me was just like, let me make sure my ears are cleaned out because I got the little, the drops that you can put in there. So I'm like, I gotta clean my ears out for this just to make sure. I don't want any type of, oh well, you kind of, you were kind of sick or your ears weren't. No, I was like, no, I'm not gonna do that. Also, you said it wasn't enough. You need to take some advice from Smokey's mom. Make it enough. No, but I just had to say that this ain't enough. Make it
Smokey who?
Smokey's mom from Friday.
I'm just saying, like my Smokey was Smokey from the Bear. Your Smoke, you just have to be specific with the Smokey. The
No,
other
I know.
Smokey is in trouble right now, so that's why I'm like, we have to be specific on which we talk about. That's all.
Is he sipping that wine still or no?
Nah, he doing way worse. He got
Oh
bad
Lord.
allegations on him. So
Hey, listen, you should have known better when he came out with that album, Gasms. That's your boy.
that was a telltale sign right there. Like you were too old to be talking like this, my boy. That's crazy. Oh man. Anyway, we followed that up with Down Selector. And I can start.
Yeah, good.
Um Following the first song, that leads to my what I was saying, the first one, the quality's not the greatest, but it's better. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, I could have listened to this one without headphones, probably. It would have been okay. And I did, it was fine. But like the headphones make it a little bit better. Um it's a decent song. I have it down here as it's okay. I like the beat. The hook and the verse kind of get lost within each other. It took me a while to figure out, oh, he's doing the hook here because I guess the beat doesn't change enough where I can recognize it as a hook. I think, as a musician, you let me know if I'm telling a lie. A lot of times that beat switch kind of indicates when the hook is supposed to go there. And with this one, it just felt like one long verse until I realized, oh, you've switched it up and now you're doing the hook or whatever. But other than that, right, I thought it was a fine song, especially right after the first one.
So it is pretty interesting because it all depends on like who's doing, the production, the engineering, who also the artist as well, because I'm one of those people where I'm cool with the beat just being completely the same throughout. And I'm not saying, oh, we're doing a whole freestyle song where I'm just rapping for like 3 minutes straight, whatever. Even on like a structured song where 16 hook, 16 hook, depending on the beat or the song, I'm okay with it, whatever. But it is for other people hate it. I know other people, they're like, no, like if you're going to have a hook here, you're going to have this here, add like a little bell, add like a little
Yeah,
ting, add like a little something to, because for us other people, it doesn't matter what the quality of the music is. It could be like top notch, AAA, Timbaland could have made the beat, whatever. But if it's just the same thing all the way through, I know some people hate that. So
yeah.
I think that's personal preference. But back to the song. Shout out to Static Selector. I'm not sure if everyone has heard him before, but um I listen to him sometimes on like Shade 45 and stuff like that. I hear some of the stuff that he's done with other people. So he's familiar in my world, but for other people, this might be the first time listening to him. So I think he did a great job with the beat. It has this nighttime lullaby feel to it, you know what I mean? Kind of reminds me of I think it was your favorite song from was it Chronometry? The My Blankie, the blue blankie song,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
But I feel like Charles had like this grittiness to him, kind of reminds me of like what another underground or lesser known rapper would have done to this. Like I said, like I hear uh Status Selecta and other rappers that I might not know on like Shade 45 and like the stuff I've heard from them and what Charles kind of did. I'm like, it sounds like something I could have heard on Shade 45, like because they have like a little like separate hour or two where they just play like underground rap, like Sean P stuff. And I know he's not underground, but there's some people that still don't know who he is. R.I.P. Sean P. But my whole thing, I was saying, you don't have to be pretty to be on this beat. Like it's supposed to have a certain sound to it. I thought it was two nice verses, and he did two verses. So I'm like, oh, okay, Charles is kind of figuring out. You don't always gotta do the three verses. Decent hook. I do know what you mean with the maybe the hook getting lost because Charles was getting a little freaky talking about, come on, lick your lips, like, excuse me, but I think the one thing that was cool was they did like a sample near the end, and that kind of acts like a third verse or a chorus. I could see this being like a fan favorite from this tape. Like out of all the songs, I could see people saying, "Oh, this might be my favorite from the project." So, but yeah, it's a cool song.
Yeah. I always try to when I was trying to cross-reference this, I was trying to go back and see if there were any comments on every song or each song or whatever. Um, Someone just left a diamond on this one, so apparently it was something that was well liked there. We do follow that up with Front Row Church Lady.
I want to say for this song, this is when I think I figured out that the app and YouTube was different because I don't think this was on YouTube, and I was just like, 'cause I wanted to go listen. I'm like, wait a minute. I didn't hear this earlier. I'm like, what is
Yeah.
this? I'm like, okay. Um, Front Road Church Lady. I think it's an amazing beat, has a soulful sound. Um, I could actually hear like Jay-Z on this, doing like like a multi-bar type of rap where maybe it might not be a hook or something like that. So I'm like, I could hear Jay-Z something like this on that. I think Charles had a good flow. Basically venting while freestyling. I think you could tell he's actually feeling this. I know Charles, he usually says, oh, well, well, not right, but I wrote this in my head or I freestyled this because I was doing this or I picked this beat because I did that. For me personally, when I hear Charles get a little bit more excited on a beat and like he has a lot of vigor in his raps, I'm like, you actually like this beat
Yeah.
because there's other times I hear him on other beats and I'm like, I don't know if you like this or not. This sounds like someone picked it for you, and you kind of just said, whatever. But this
Yeah.
one, I'm like, okay, he definitely seemed like he enjoyed rapping on this one. So I was like, okay, and it makes me enjoy listening to the song more because I'm like, okay, sounds like you like it, so I think I can enjoy it more as well because you're trying to give your best stuff on here.
Yeah. I was trying to take my notes as I was listening to this. I was, whenever I was listening, I tried to take my notes, and I had no notes on this one. I think the beat is good, but I think a lot of the beats on this are good. I think most of the beats on here are good. But this one just felt there to me. Nothing really memorable to make me um remember what I heard. I did notice that it wasn't on the YouTube playlist. So, and I would assume that has to do with like some type of sample clearance thing. Um, because sometimes when people upload it, they upload it, but they just don't have the full list. So I tried to type in Charles Hampton, the front row church lady, and it didn't pop up. So apparently it has to be some type of issue or whatever. Because a lot of guys usually are good about having all the songs on there. But yeah, it just felt there. Not necessarily. I'm not saying it's a bad song or anything. It's not memorable for me.
Yeah, I could tell you this. Maybe that one wasn't memorable, but I could definitely say the next one will be memorable.
Well, the next one, my friend, is
We
Gum
ain't
on
friends.
the.
So,
What you
I'm not your
say?
buddy guy. We're not friends. I'm not your buddy guy.
The next song, man, is I believe "Gum on the Sun," man.
Gum
Gum of
of
the Sun. I'm sorry, "Gum of the Sun."
yeah, yeah. I definitely have to start with this one. I had
Oh,
allowed
take it away, sir. Take it away.
all right. So here's you guys heard me earlier. I said, there's 8 songs or whatever on YouTube, and then found out there's 11. You can go ahead and strike one off because with this song, and this is the first time in my time I've ever heard a song like this. You know, we talk about the audio being, oh, it's a little low, your earbuds.
Yeah.
No, that's not what this is. Um, there's like static on the song, like like no, like I don't know if it's distortion, static, whatever you want to call it, but it's all over the song, the entire song.
Yeah.
Um, so you really, honestly, I don't know if you can even call this a song. I don't know what happened. Maybe if it was something like in mixing, something like in the editing process, if something happened to it. I don't know if that was done on purpose or not, but you literally can't hear the song. Like it's Charles rapping on a beat, but then there's static all over it. And that's all I can say. That's literally all I can say. Like you can't hear the song. So yeah, that's my review, and that's unfortunate because I don't like to give caveats to certain songs, but if I can't hear it, like legit, if I can't hear it, there's nothing I. What do you want me to do? So
Uh, literally, my note says this literally sounds like static the entire song, and it's just uh yeah, it's I find it hard to believe, right? I'm probably right that the original beat was not like this. I have to assume that, and that this was a choice. If I don't know if you ventured into the YouTube comments on this song.
I definitely did.
Yeah.
And,
Um,
you probably I took a screenshot of it, and you probably have the same notes I do.
yeah. Uh, some of the notes. What's up with that quality, Charles? Come on, bro. I've been bumping you since 2008. You are a musical genius, but we deserve better quality sound than this, my dude. I think that's a fair assessment. Then you had the same guy with the diamond. It's like, we don't have, I just feel like, okay, can we have a quick little honesty thing before I continue these comments?
You shouldn't even have to say a quick honesty thing. Yes, like at StarCHaser Central, we don't do the fake bullshit around here. We are very truthful with what we bring. That's why I think that we cover so much ground because we're not oh it's kind of or no, it's like either it's this or that. Feel free.
Yeah. Normally I would skip stuff like this and I just be like, whatever. If somebody says that it's fine, it's fine. In what world is a static field song? Can somebody say yes, this is fire? I think sometimes I think there are times when there's an opportunity to tell him, hey, I don't know why you would do this. This isn't good. I think people need to just sometimes be able to give constructive criticism. I think this was a perfect opportunity for that. And I'm trying to figure out why that doesn't happen. Why this type of comment would make it on here. And it's like, bro, you know you can't hear nothing on here. You don't have to do this. I don't think Charles is gonna get mad if you're like, hey, this one isn't for me, bro. Or you tell him, hey, the audio really bogs down. Don't like. I hate to use the word lie, but don't lie to him and say like, yo, this is fire. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, because number one, other comments that were on here, because someone said quality is terrible. It's a bunch of people that have said stuff like that, whatever. So it's not like, oh, well, I think this and that. And then someone did say he did that on purpose, the quality that is, and then someone else said he needs to purposely fix the quality then.
That was my favorite
And I
comment,
totally
to be
agree.
fair.
Yeah, but still, I totally agree. Where it's
Yeah.
just like, um, I know here, like I said, especially when we do the ratings and whatnot, we used to talk about, hey, if we say something is blah blah blah, it doesn't mean that it's bad or we don't like it. But I'll be honest, if you have a song full of static and I can't hear it, then that is objectively bad.
Yeah.
That is bad. That's not. I'm not going to sugarcoat it and be like, oh, because like I said, most of our opinions, like or the ratings we do, are objective based. I like certain things that Stick doesn't like, vice versa. Y'all hearing these ratings. But when it's something where I can't hear it, you can't hear it. No, you're not going to fool me and say, "Oh, well, it's an artistic thing." Well, you need to stop doing that. I'll say that right now. Stop doing that. I don't know if I hope that he never does that again on other songs, but never do that again. I'm gonna say that right now. But that was a lot that we just said for one song. I think it'd be we might have a better chance with the next song. Let's see what the next song is about. I got you. It's Kiki's Love
Yeah.
on YouTube because that came before Gum of the Sun.
Mhm.
So I heard that first. So that was my first introduction.
Yeah.
By the way, Swing and a Miss again, buddy. This song has too much static. It's another song with static back to back. I don't know what, like I said, I don't know what's going on. I would like to think, hey, something happened within like Charles mixing, and then something happened where like this, I don't know, maybe his computer or whatever crashed and it added that in there. Because
Yeah.
at that point, I could be like, yeah, but if you added that in on purpose, no, no. So that's my notes on here. A song has too much static. Nope, no. A fan did say, and like what you're talking about, a fan said that they like the distorted vocals. Really? Come on, man. All right.
A- Again, it's like I don't want to be like, hey, your opinion is incorrect. I don't want to be that guy. But it's like, how could you have heard that? You know what I'm saying? It's just, that's this. We're not even talking about like it's just. We're not even talking about just like we're not talking about the content. We're not talking about the flow. We're not talking about any of that. We're just talking about the ability to hear. That's like the base. I feel like that's a baseline of what a song should be. Can you actually hear it? And you cannot hear this song. And the
This was
fact,
worse than the other one. Like for example, you could hear Gum of the Sun a little better. You couldn't
yeah,
hear it, but you could hear it a little better. But Kiki's Love was a lot worse. It had a lot more static. So that's another song you could take off instead of it being 11 songs. We just knocked two off that we couldn't hear. So that's technically nine songs. So now we're actually to nine songs.
yeah. Like I said, I'm the same way. I just like, and you got to remember too the way my uh the way the downloaded. This was the last song for me that I heard, and I was like, well, that's a damper, right? But with the context of putting it where it's supposed to be, imagine if I listened to that, I would have went. We're on what? That's song 5 for us right now. That would have went. I would have went. Apollo Kids didn't like. Down Selector, that was okay. Front Row Church Lady didn't really remember it that much. Then you followed up with Gum of the Sun and Kiki. I'm at a bad 5 stretch for me. I'm like this is gonna be a rough listen, you know. So I just not only just the sound quality itself, but just the decision to go back to back with it, I think is crazy too. Or it could be a blessing in disguise. We don't know yet, but we do follow up with a life raft. I think I don't know if you feel the same way. Corn at the Apollo.
Yeah, definitely a life raft if you ever needed one. This is the equivalent of being in Labyrinth Zone on Sonic 1
Yeah,
and dun 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 and you just got the bubble at like 1 second. You
yeah,
just got it. So also shout out to Korn because Charles did tell me that with the songs being like something of the Apollo, and I'm like, when I first seen this and before he told me that, I'm like, Korn at the Apollo. I'm like, okay, maybe he sampled Korn or did something like with that. I looked up when I looked this up, Korn at the Apollo. They actually did perform at the Apollo in 1999, and it's like a whole live performance, like a
nice,
whole hour set. And I'm like, oh wow, I had no idea. So I'm like, okay,
nice.
that's dope. I was like, that's dope. So if you guys are fans of Korn or aren't familiar with them, whatever, check them out because I definitely used to listen to them when I was a wee lad, TRL days, you know.
Yeah,
So um I forget the actual sample of the song, but I always call it the classic Jeezy beat. 'Cause I remember Jeezy rapped on like that sample.
Mr.
Um,
17.5, boy.
thank you, thank you. I knew you would know, or at least someone else would know. Um, but it's a popular sample. Smooth beat. Charles has a nice flow, good aggression on the song. Hook's decent. But it's definitely after especially those last two songs, even if I was just going by those two, I'm like okay. All right, there's some normalcy here. Thank God, because that was yikes right there. That was danger. That was danger. But yeah, the song I can rock with.
That sample came on. I was like, oh my God, he might have saved the tape with this one. I stopped for the sample, which again that's Mr. 17.5, a classic back in the day for weightlifting during college sessions. That was one of the jumps we had on there. Um, but I stayed for the actual, the rapping, and it was a good song, good beat. Charles' flow was good. though there's some memorable bars in on this tape, though there's not like a high level of memorable bars, it also isn't bogged down by a lot of random rapping. Even if it's that there's no subject to kind of latch on to a lot of the songs. Um, it's not so random where it's like, why is he talking about this or what is he talking about? I think this is a great way to revitalize the tape. I think it's one of those situations like similar. You lost all your lives and now you're on the continue screen, and then at the last second you're like, oh, hit start. This is kind of that start, hitting that start button. I really like this song. This is probably my favorite one thus far.
Okay, dope, dope. I got you.
Um, and then we follow that up with Sandman in the Milky Way. Um, I love this beat. I'll tell you that much. This beat is fantastic. Um, very smooth, very silky, very uh vibe heavy. Charles does a pretty decent job on this. I wouldn't call it out of this world, but he doesn't do anything to me personally where I felt like um it messed up the song. Um, so I just think I do think that because we were on a stretch where it was some rough songs. This might have, this might have been like, oh, this is a good song because of that, but it's okay. I would say it's okay.
So for me, I have very similar sentiments. I said awesome beat. Gave me lo-fi YouTube vibes, and I know that's been very popular throughout the last couple years and just keep getting more and more popular. So
I like it.
so yeah, with me, like it's one of those things. If you listen to that type of stuff, where you're on YouTube and you find like the lo-fi type beat type of stuff, you'll definitely vibe with this. I said very calming. Charles had a decent flow. Okay, hook. Quality wise, sound once again, I hate harping on it, but that quality for me, I'm like,
Yeah,
mm,
yeah,
mm, yeah. So I'll leave it there. I'll leave it there. So
yeah. Um, this is where the Gothic may come in here or after Tony Rock.
so for me next it'd be the Gothic Sinbad.
All
If
right,
we're
let's do
going
that.
alphabetical, because it says it's T, it's a T. So
Yeah, the Gothic Sinbad is up next.
so with me, I said it's a moody instrumental, and Charles, he does what he does with this. So like it's what I said? I said it gives me sad clown vibes, depression, emo music at its best. Verses are cool, but I really like the hook. And it's crazy because I think a lot of times with the newer music, sometimes I'll be satisfied with the verse, but then the hook sometimes I'll be like, it's okay. But in one of these situations, I like, especially currently, I like the hook more than I like the verses. So it's random when that happens. Um Now we talk about, Charles singing on certain songs and whatnot. This type of singing or crooning that he did on this song, I'm like, it's acceptable because it works with the song. Sing with the song, not against it, match the mood. And I think Charles did a really good job of matching the mood. And maybe because this is more of his wheelhouse now, because Charles always talks about, I don't want to be, popular. I don't want to make like fun music. I want to, be dark and I want to be down. And, this song was like definitely telling of that, so it probably worked a lot better in his favor compared to maybe other songs. But regardless of whatever mood you're in, like work with the song, not against it. Like do whatever you're doing with it, sing with it, rap with it. Like instead of like, oh, I'm gonna just I get Charles had the song Crayola, color outside the lines and all that,
Yeah.
whatever. I'm like, I get it, but stuff like that, I'm like, I promise you the picture will be a lot prettier if you color inside the lines of that picture. Like every picture is going to be different. It's going to have a different type of, feel to it. But if you color inside of it, it looks better. You could have a nice picture where you're doing all the extra stuff, but I promise you, 10 times out of 10, if you're going within the guidelines, it works a lot better. Just saying.
Um, this is the most song. This is the song that feels like the most like a song per se because it's structured well. I'll say that, right? And it feels like he was actually like I feel like if there was a single off of this tape, this probably would have been the one that would have been pushed. You know what I mean? I feel like this would be the first one he dropped. Like, I'm dropping Showtime with the Apollo. Here's the Gothic Sinbad, right? Um, it's fine, I guess. I just I've I've heard this song before from him, but better, I guess is what I'm saying. It's not bad. It's just where it's like I see what you're going for. Like I said, the crooning, it's fine. It's not like some other songs that we've heard him do where he's kind of going overboard. Um, and like I said, he kind of stays in a nice little pocket here as far as how far outside the range he goes. It's fine. I don't dislike it. I'll say that.
Okay. One thing I did notice, and I'm pretty sure you noticed that at some point, maybe not during the state, but like for example, the song's called "The Gothic Sinbad."
Yeah.
Charles is always the Gothic something.
Yep.
Like what was it on Climactic, the Gothic Meek. I'm
Yep.
pretty sure at some point he's called because he's referred to himself like kind of like the like Jimmy Iovine. I'm pretty sure he has 20 bars about being the Gothic Jimmy Iovine or the Gothic Kanye, the Gothic Eminem, the Gothic, so the guy, the Gotham bug, Doug giving a lot of love and hugs, and Charles be like, oh, come on, man, you get the point, So the guy, he's the Gothic, he's the Gothic
Yeah.
Gotham. Oh, I got him. Oof, ooh, bars. Sorry,
You want to drop any more before we move on?
dropping bars. You
Uh-huh.
know, I'm going. Nah, I'm not. I'm not going to do it. Nah, I'm good. I'm good.
Oh man. Tony Rock for breakfast. I feel like I should say pause.
Tony Rock for breakfast. Eat. No, I'm not. No, that's crazy.
I don't
That's
know
crazy.
where I don't know where you
No,
about to go with
no,
that.
no. I know. I don't know either. I don't know either. I don't know either.
Oh.
Because
Uh
I didn't have breakfast. I didn't have breakfast. I don't even know what that is. I don't even know what that is. The Gothic breakfast.
the Gothic breakfast. What would be
Yeah,
the
man.
Gothic what would be the Gothic breakfast? Blood sausage. Uh
Jeez. Cigarette. Gotta have a cigarette.
gotta
Two of
have
them.
gotta have a cig. What?
Yeah, man.
Was it black pudding? Black pudding, for sure. A burnt piece of toast. Not even like a rate. That has to be yeah, it has to be a burnt piece of toast. Yeah. Yeah.
I think
And then like some prune juice.
I mean, listen, it can't. I don't think it can be a fulfilling breakfast. You know how obviously they say breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Like this is going to be a meal that's like it's not going to fill you up at all. It's just going to maybe give you the energy, enough energy that you might need for the day. Maybe not because you're probably going to be drinking some energy drinks like some Monsters later on, and you're going
Oh,
to
for
probably
sure.
crash out. So whatever it is, it's not going to be filling. It's not going to be made with love. So.
Tony Rock for Breakfast is another one of those songs where it was there. I don't really remember much from it. It happened. I'm sure the beat was great. Like I said, I thought the beats on here were amazing, so I'm sure it was fantastic. Um, but nothing. I don't remember much about it. Even sitting here trying to bring it up right now, it's just like, eh. I'm sure it was fine. But probably could have done without it on the stage.
Okay. Um, I am interested in why it's Tony Rock at breakfast instead of Chris Rock. Maybe that was like I don't want to go with Chris Rock because most people, so many Chris Rock verses and bars. Even though this is 2018, this is before, the Chris Rock's debacle of yesteryear, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Um, but I did say for the song, hard beat and Charles is on his freestyle flow. Uh, good bars in its gutter. Surprisingly, Charles only does one verse, and I said this is all that needed. Every like we did those like Knife Wonder projects where sometimes Charles is like, oh, I'm gonna do one verse and be out, and it's like, well, that's fine, that's completely
Hmm.
fine. Sometimes you might be like, oh, well, I wonder what would happen if this was a full song. It's like, this is a full song enough. It's like I'm good with that, and like I just said, it's not going to be a fulfilling breakfast because it's Tony Rock. You know what I mean? You're not getting the Chris Rock sampler meal at Waffle House, I guess. You know what I mean? I don't know if you ever had a yeah, that would make sense if Chris Rock did have a something at Waffle House, because they're fighting and all that,
Fighting
and
and all that. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, this is all I needed. So one
Well,
verse that
to be
works.
fair, he didn't do much fighting. Um,
Well, sometimes that's sometimes that's what happens. You think you're going to be doing some fighting at Waffle House, and then um, you don't. You just end up outside the parking lot like, what happened? So
Like, don't even worry
not
about
me
it.
though.
I pay
Never
for the
happened to
food,
me.
bro. Don't worry about it.
Never happened to me though. I can't relate because like I said, I go there to get my food and dip out. I like to leave alive. So
That's fair. No, I mean that's yeah. Did you see that the Tekken creators trying to make Waffle House a stage in the game?
yeah, a lot of people were joking about that, and I guess with him, he was like, you know what? Y'all seem very passionate about it, so yeah, let's do it. And I guess Waffle House, they've been kind of like, I don't know about that. And it's like, why are y'all like they're
I don't know
trying
Waffle
to
House being some hoes, man. I love Waffle
yeah.
House. Don't do this. Don't take this from me.
I mean, if they end up just being like, nah, we're not doing it, I hope that they can just like do like some type of weird workaround where, of course, it'll be called like Pancake Place or something like that. Though it'll look like Waffle House, but you know they have to do the gimmick thing where it's like, okay, well, y'all know we couldn't get Waffle House, so we're gonna call it Pancake Place or whatever. So
Slapjack Factory.
there you go. I can see that. You know, you pick your characters. Flapjack Factory. Get ready for the next battle.
Round one. Fight.
Oh Lord, that'd be interesting. We'll see. Time will tell.
Um, I'm trying to see if we have the same. We're on the same wavelength here.
We
V
got
Star,
two more left.
V Star Rising.
Yep. Two more left. V Star. You see that? You see that?
No, I see what you did there. Yeah, yeah. Um, I think it's the best song on the tape. I think that beat is fantastic. I think Charles feels inspired by what he's doing on this one. I feel like he's doing it. I think he does a great job here. This was the song that I said, wait a minute, let me go back. And I was like, this is good stuff. I was like, this is fantastic. Let's see what I write down. I said this is pretty good. I said I compared, and I don't even think it's one of those things where I was like comparing this to like the other songs on the tape. I was like, no, outside of this tape, I'd be like, this is a good song. That Charles is a good Charles Hamilton record. Like I said, I love the beat. I love the way Charles kind of flows on it. Um, I think these type of jumps, this kind of reminds me of like a Starlight as far as like what he's kind of doing with it, as far as like his energy and his flow and how he's kind of matched with it. I like this one. I think it's my favorite one on the tape for sure.
Okay. I remember because I heard this on YouTube first, and I think when I went back to the app, it was you couldn't just like play it. So I don't know if there's something wrong with it, but like you had to download it to listen to it. So I'm like, okay, that's interesting, you know. But of course, with Charles having so many different projects and whatnot, not all those files are going to stay how they're supposed to. So you got to have some tidying up every now and again. So V Star Rising, I said slow and relaxed vibe with this song. Charles is rattling off with the raps. Um, I feel differently than you. I said song is so I don't think it's necessarily bad, but for me, I just don't have the same sentiments. I'm just like, nah, it's all right. So
There. We finish off with Wax On and Wax Off.
wow, finishing off. Just like perfect, right on time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sometimes you never know, but sometimes you can finish right on time.
I don't got nothing for it. I got nothing. Go ahead. I'll let you start.
I like the way the tape ends. I like Wax On, Wax Off. I think it's a cool song. I think it's better than because like this wasn't the last song for me. Yeah, I had the Gothic Sinbad and Kiki's that came after it. So in hindsight, this is a great way to end. I was like, oh, these two back to back, I thought was a really good way to end the tape. Solid rapping, solid beat. Um, not too many notes. I just thought that was a solid way to end the tape, honestly.
I would say that too. You know, this is probably the best song. Like I'd say for the first song and last song for me, best ways to start and end them. I said this is my favorite beat on this project, Wax On, Wax Off.
Okay, yeah,
I said beats fire. Um, and the flow sounds dope. Um, and I listened to this on both just to make sure.
yeah,
Barely could hear the lyrics. Barely could hear the lyrics.
that is
So
true.
that that's my biggest takeaway from here because I can hear what Charles is doing. It's kind of like I know some people have talked about this before. If you watch Charles on live before, where he's making some beats, and then people say, "Oh, can you freestyle right now?" And then Charles,
Yeah,
like, "All right, I'll freestyle for y'all." And then Charles would have the beat too loud, and then you'll hear him going off and it sounds like he's going crazy, but you can't make out the words. And then some people will be like, "Oh, can you turn down the beat or something? We want to hear you. We want to hear you." And Charles has said before, "Oh, just focus on the vibes." But my God, if I wanted to focus on the vibes, I could just go get the instrumental myself.
Mhm.
Like at that point, you know what I mean? I could just focus on the vibes over there. The reason I'm here is to hear you on the beat.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm like, man, uh, and the crazy the song's called Wax On, Wax Off. This is literally like, getting blue balled. Literally like getting blue balled because the flow sounds dope. The beat's fire. And I'm pretty sure Charles is going crazy on this, whatever, but you can barely hear it. I just said a possible amazing song ruined. I think this could have been officially the best song, easily on the tape. If I could have heard what he said, whatever, from the flows and whatnot, and how he was going off, I'm like, yeah, it sounds like it could have been good. I definitely won't say it's bad at all.
Yeah.
There's no way I could have heard it fully and been like, yo, it's nah, it's not for me. I'm like, nah, this definitely could have been, but it's marred by that, and I'm like, oh, come on, man. But the beat's fire. So if I want to just listen to the beat, I can just do that. And then, I can imagine Charles rapping. I just insert my own Charles raps there. I'll be like, he said that. I don't know. That was fat. And I'm wearing a hat. It's imaginary. The beat is scary. Mariah Carey. These songs could vary. Gary, Indiana, Illinois, with my boys. I'm feeling cool. I don't know. But yeah, I just imagine what he said. And I'm like, sounds dope. Sounds dope. That was a free actually, no, that wasn't a freestyle. I wrote that in my head. I literally wrote that in my head right there. But it wasn't freestyle though. So let me know how y'all feel about it. If it's a Robotnik, let me know. Feel free to give me a Robotnik in the comments.
You good? You good? Yeah. You good?
Yeah, I had to get it out of my system. Hey, listen, man, I should have waxed on, waxed off before I got on here, but I did that on air. I had to do that on air. Now we can get ready for the bench part 6, my version,
Oh, Jesus Christ.
with my with my pubes out.
You bring up a good point though. And I was gonna save it for like my review, but we're here at this point. I think I think the biggest frustration I think somebody would come away from this is there were songs that had potential to be good songs, but we'll never know because of the sound quality of this tape. Like there's too much of that where, because to me, I thought Gum in the Shoe, Gum in the Sun. Why did I see Gum in the Shoe? Gum Shoe. That's
It's crazy.
now I'm starting to try to make parallels. This is ridiculous. Gum in the Sun, right? I feel like if you listen closely, like he's flowing crazy, and it feels like that hook's probably powerful too. But I'll never know because of the static. It just feels like there could have been potentially good records here, but it's marred by the sound quality, and it's going to be really bad. Is if that person's comment that yo he did it on purpose, it's gonna be worse because like you chose to do that. That's like you're sabotaging yourself for what though? Like what the I'm sure he's gonna come with an explanation. I will gladly listen to this explanation if he says in the comments. But Charles, there's really no valid explanation for having that type of sound quality for those songs because like you're taking away the ability for us to love a song for a reason that probably won't be worth it in the long run.
Yeah, exactly what you said. Because my thing is this: if it was something with the technology or that happened in the middle of you mixing and making it, whatever, then that's just you have to take the accountability for that and be like, yeah, it messed up, it crashed when I was doing this and that, whatever. But anything else is just like, all right, man. Now, what did Vince McMahon say during the Attitude Era? Like right when they started, it's like, we're quite sick of you having your you're quite sick of having your intelligence assaulted. It's like at that point, if you say anything else, I think you're just fucking with me just to be like, yeah, let me just see if they're going to go with it. It's like, okay, now you're just now you're just seeing how far you can go with excuses. So
Um, but I'm ready to review. You ready to review?
I am ready, more ready than I ever been.
That's crazy. We just listened to Showtime with Apollo in 2025. Let us know what you're gonna do as far as review, pros and cons, and the character rating you are gonna give it today, Mike.
course. I'm a liar, by the way. I hit the mute button 2 or 3 times.
No, I watched it, and
I
and
know,
they can't see what you're doing, but you were
I
dying
know.
laughing on some of them.
Listen, yeah, because I was like the writing in my head. Yeah, I'm sorry, I had to do it. So, um, first of all, I want to say shout out to Apollo Brown, shout out to Alchemist, Static, and some of the other people that had beats on this tape. Like I said earlier, it wasn't all Apollo, but most of it was Apollo Brown. Um, I've heard Charles say that name before, and I'll be honest, I thought that was like another alias for him because Charles does have different aliases. So I'm like, oh, this might be another alias for him to make beats or something. But the instrumentals are dope. You know what I mean? Like you said earlier, a lot of beats are dope. Um, back to the headphones and earbuds thing. Even with the headphones and earbuds, a lot of these songs, the quality of the songs, they're not good. They are not good. They have too much static or distortion. Like I said, there's 2 or 3 of the songs on here you barely can hear at all, and that's a shame. So you got 11 songs, and it got cut down to 8 because you couldn't hear them. And then there's other songs where you can hear them, but it's the whole static thing, or whatever, just a little bit, or the quality isn't as great. So it's a shame. Um, the biggest thing I could say, I can't speak for you, but for me, um, this is the first time I ever have to say this because we've had tapes where we listen to it, lo-fi, home recordings, whatever you want to call them. This is the first time I ever can say this. I got a headache from listening to this project because of the sound quality, distortion, and all that, and I'm trying to listen in.
Yeah,
Um, that's a major flaw. I shouldn't have to stomach through that, listening to music that has bad sound quality, and to the point where that's not going to make me listen to it ever again. Um, so it's one of those things where I don't like that, and other people shouldn't put up with that either. Like I said, don't know what happened, but never again. There's actually some decent songs on here. There's really some decent songs on here that I was like, if the sound quality is better, I would love to put in a playlist and like,
mhm,
or at least showcase them more. But it's like I can't really do that because, like I said, you're gonna have people that are gonna listen to this first time and be like, "What's this?" You
yeah,
know, songs that were basically destroyed because of the quality. If this was, I'll be honest, if this was re-recorded, and I know Charles doesn't re-record songs, but if there's a way to fix the audio on it, like an easy like way to like get that static out, or upgrade the audio quality, this could have easily been a Tails. This project, I could have easily saw myself giving it a Tails and be like, hey,
yeah.
I never heard this before, but I like the beats on here. I like the raps on here. It's not well known because I don't hear anyone ever talk about this. I don't hear any StarCHaser talk about this. So I was ready to give this a tails and be like, hey, it's underrated. Y'all need to check this out. But I can't do that. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. With the sound quality being, this is probably the worst I've heard for sound quality for any project we've recorded about and reviewed. This is Robotnik, plain and simple. Sound quality is bad. The songs I wouldn't say are bad, but the quality is bad. I shouldn't have a headache listening to music. Um, I can easily say I would never go back to listening to this again because of sound quality. Not like Hypergoth and other projects where it's like it's not really for me because those songs just aren't for me. I'm not really a fan of them. But this is like, no, I'm not. I can promise you I'm not going back. So this gets a Robotnik, and I hope whatever happened never happens again. So that's my take on it.
Yeah, for me, I'll say this. I came into this, especially after listening to Apollo's Kids, thinking this is going to be a rough listen. And to be fair, it was. It ended up being a rough listen just because, as we've been talking about throughout this entire review, is the sound quality is not great. It's whether it was by choice, whether it was by technical error, no matter what it was, you can't get away from the fact that the sound quality is rough. You shouldn't have to listen to songs. You shouldn't be able to have to listen to songs through headphones and headphones only. And even with listening to headphones, you're still struggling to like listen to certain things, right? Like you say, you shouldn't have to get a headache to have to listen to this project or whatever. Um, I guess a positive for me is that I did was pleasantly surprised by certain songs. Corny Apollo and V Star Rising. I am debating keeping them as far as like on my phone because I downloaded the tape or whatever. I'm debating keeping them because you know what? I might pop in and be like, this is fine. This was a cool song or whatever. I don't know how often I go back, but I would consider playlisting it on my phone. Everything else though is it's getting taken off. But again, for sound quality, just not being memorable. Um, yeah, I thought that maybe with coming away with two songs that I could give it a Mecha Sonic, but I can't also I would not suggest this tape. I'll say that. There's never a section where I'm like I'm gonna suggest this tape. I couldn't do that in good faith. I'm gonna go Robotnik 2 as well because yeah, I'm not gonna go back and listen to it in full. I always encourage somebody to go to listen to it themselves and figure it out for their own. But if you're gonna ask me, do you think this is a tape to go worth to go listen to? I would probably say no.
Yeah. This is the equivalent of being in school, having the right answers on your test, but writing in chicken scratch or having terrible handwriting, so the teacher can't even read what you're saying. That's why I look at it like, oh, you had the answers here, and they were right. You had the formula was right. You showed your
Mm,
work and all that, but it's not legible. I can't hear it. I can't read it. I can't. So
yeah.
that's where I'm at with it. Like I was let down with this one because it's like I could hear that, Charles had some bars on here. He had some, the beats that he picked on here were pretty well picked, but I can't hear it. I can't hear it.
Mm,
And, if it doesn't sound great, then that's a big issue. So
mm. But remember, we're just two people, man. So go listen to Showtime with the pilot and let us know what you think. Is this a tape that you can excuse the sound quality? Or do you like the sound quality the way it is? Do you like the distortion and the static? Is there a lo-fi or low quality sounding tape that you would suggest to us? Let us know over on YouTube, StarCHaser Central. You can also let us know on Twitter, StarCH Central. You can also follow us on our individual pages. I'm at Stick Around 54, STIK Around 54 on Twitter and Instagram. Mike, where can they find you, buddy?
on Instagram, the Mike Jackson, THE Mike Jackson. On Twitter, Mike D Jackson, Mike D Jackson. That's one D, two E's. Holla at me. Make sure you guys are following Charles on Twitter at Charles Hamilton. Speaking of his Twitter, Charles did recently release some newer music on SoundCloud though. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with what he shared recently for his SoundCloud, but he said he lit it up today. Check out his new music. I think it's like two or three projects, something like that. He dropped a couple of projects on the SoundCloud. I want to say one was another mastery, then one was I didn't hear it, but I guess like a Daft Punk type of sample beat type of tape or
Mm-hmm.
whatever.
Mm-hmm.
WAF Dunk, I want to say. I seen someone made artwork for it.
Yep,
So
yep.
um check out Charles's Twitter for that. The SoundCloud says soundcloud.com/JRVarsity1, but feel free to check out, his actual Twitter to see the actual link for it. And then you can check out the music yourself. I want to say Sega Genesis. I think there's a YouTube channel that did upload some of the songs, but I don't know if they uploaded them in full. But for everything, go ahead and go to Charles's Twitter, and then you can see his SoundCloud link and all that. Speaking of YouTube, Charles is YouTube. Y'all know Charles goes live pretty much every Friday, and then sometimes he might go live on every other day. So make sure you subscribe to him there so you can hear new music or check him out live. Um, the talented Mr. Hamilton, we can find that. And then last but not least, Charles has been blogging a little bit more than usual. So make sure if you're not in tune with that, check out the blog. Enter the Hamilton.blogspot.com. There it is.
Yeah. Speaking of the blog, he did kind of update on a lot of things. For one, the SoundCloud stuff. I think he said that he dropped 6 to 8 projects over there. So yeah, definitely go peruse over there. I think he also made a pink lava lamp type beat that's over there as well. So go check that out as well. Um, he also kind of gave an update on the donations that you guys have been sending over. He gave you a rundown of what he used the money for. So congratulations on helping Charles with whatever that he needed, man. So just go over there, check out what he is talking about over there, and yeah, just like Mike said, stay in tune, man. Be sure to let us know what you want to listen to. Um, maybe not the great start for 2018, but if you know a 2018 tape that's kind of fire, that you think is fire, please send it our way. We would love to find different stuff from 2019, 2020, all the way up to now, man. But yeah, just let us know and we'll try to get to it. But you got anything for the people before we head out?
Just the usual. Thank you guys for checking out another episode. Thank you guys for sticking with us, through thick and thin, through wax on and off. We can wax on and wax off together, but no, we can't. We definitely can't do that. I'm sorry. I lie right there. Definitely not doing that ever. But no, seriously, thank you guys for checking out another episode. And of course, let us know what else you want to hear or want us to talk about, because that's what we're here for. Um, I'm just gonna say this real quick. Listen, I don't fuck with the fish fillet bullshit, because I did try to continue some conversation in another group, and I'm like, hey man, how y'all feel about one of the new projects? Crickets. So fuck the fish fillet bullshit. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm saying that. Stig's not saying that. Charles isn't saying that. That came from me and me only. So for the people that do want to talk about Charles Hamilton music, feel free to let us know and just chat. Whether it's the art, the music, whatever. Especially we do that at the Discord. So
Yeah.
if you're tired of people all up in the video not talking about Charles Hamilton music, come down to the Discord. Yeah, I'm done. I'm done.
Uh, yeah. I mean, I can't ever be associated with the fish fillet bullshit either because I'd never speak about it anyway or at all over there. Um, hey man, I'll put it this way. The Apollo dude, the same man is ripping us off the stage. So we're logging off for StarCHaser Central Podcast, man. But we always encourage you to follow your dreams.
And reach for the stars.